Good evening. Welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Ashington Veerasinghe. Let's have a look at the headlines for today. Government will not sign the MCC agreement since it is not beneficial for the country, says State Minister. Parliamentarians urge the Speaker to release the forensic audit report of the bond scam soon. News in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that it is essential that changes be made to the existing constitution in order to safeguard the security, sovereignty, stability and integrity of the country. The President made these observations while delivering his policy statement following the ceremonial inauguration of the 4th session of the 8th Parliament this morning. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa ceremoniously opened the 4th session of the 8th Parliament this morning. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya and the Secretary General of Parliament Dhammika Dasanayake welcomed President Rajapaksa at the main steps of the Parliament building, followed by hoisting of the national flag by the President. Followed by the recital of Jai Mangala Gatha, President was accompanied to the House of Parliament by the Sergeant-at-Arms, the Speaker and the Secretary-General of Parliament. President initially tabled the Visions of Prosperity and Splendour policy statement. Addressing the MPs, the President said that irrespective of the political parties to work for the betterment of the people of the country.
දුප්පත්කම නැති කිරීම අපේ රජයේ ප්‍රමුඛතාවක් ලෙස සැලසෙනවා.
Eliminating poverty is a priority of our government. We must understand the causes of poverty and find solutions to eliminate such causes. For economic development to occur, it is important that we accelerate improvements to the road network, including the expressways. The development of the train service is an integral part of this program. The cost of electricity is an important factor in economic development. We need short-term and long-term solutions to generate power at a reasonable price. In looking at long-term solutions, our principle is to pay special attention to the use of eco-friendly renewable energy sources such as solar, wind and the hydropower. Sri Lanka is still referred to as a developing country even after 70 years of our achieving independence. We must identify the opportunities that would allow us to move away from this situation and to become a developed country. We must pay attention to this in the formulation of investment policies. We must understand what type of investment we need to spur future economic development. We must strive to maintain friendly relations with every country, but we will never allow other countries to take over our economically significant geographic regions or physical resources. It is my aspiration to ensure that the Sri Lankan people will become a proud people with a global standing.
Parliamentarians from both the government and opposition request Speaker Karu Jayasuriya to release the forensic audit report on the controversial bond scam soon. The request was made while the Parliament met for the first time today after the presidential election in November last year. Commencing the day's proceedings, Varuna Priyantha Liyanage was sworn in as a Member of Parliament from the United People's Freedom Alliance to fill the seat vacated following the demise of UPFA Ratnapura District Member of Parliament Ranjit D'Souza. However, he took a seat in the opposition during the 4th session of the 8th Parliament. He also told the Parliament why he decided to take a seat in the opposition. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya also informed the Parliament that he has accepted UNP MP Sajith Premadasa as the leader of the opposition. Meanwhile, the Speaker also said that he accepted nomination of UNP MP Gayantha Karunatilaka for the position of Chief Opposition Whip. Minister Dinesh Gunawardena was nominated as Leader of the House, while Johnston Fernando was nominated as the Chief Government Whip. Suggestions came to appoint JVP MP Sunil Handunethi for the Chairman of the COPE Committee again, and MPs from the government and opposition unanimously requested to reform the COPE Committee soon and get released the forensic audit report on the controversial bond scam, which had been completed just before the prorogation of the Parliament. Following the conclusion of the proceedings of the House, the Speaker announced that the Parliament is adjourned and would convene again at 1 p.m. on January 7th. The Cabinet of Ministers decides to withdraw the Counter-Terrorism Bill introduced by the previous government to be enacted in place of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Thus, the key cabinet decisions were announced by the co-cabinet spokesperson, Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, and co-cabinet spokesperson, Minister Dr. Ramesh Pathirana, during a media briefing held today. Accordingly, during the media briefing, it was mentioned that the State Minister of Investment Promotions, Keheli Rambukwala, and State Minister of Power, Mahindananda Alutgamage, have been appointed as the spokespersons of the government. Meanwhile, Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena highlighted that the Cabinet yesterday decided to remove the counter-terrorism bill introduced by the previous rule to be enacted in place of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. The former government worked out this bill in keeping with its commitment to the United Nations Human Rights Council in terms of the Resolution 30/1. However, new Foreign Relations Minister Dinesh Gunawardena presented a cabinet paper yesterday seeking approval to withdraw it, and the cabinet gave the nod to repeal it. On the other hand, it was also mentioned that the cabinet approved to appoint a committee headed by former Supreme Court Justice Jagat Bala Patabandi to study and submit a report on the government officials who headed the state-owned enterprises who were adversely affected by the political revenge during the period of the former government. This proposal was tabled by the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who also chairs the Minister of Finance, Economic Affairs and Policy Development. Development Banks and Loan Scheme State Minister Shehan Semasinghe stresses that the present government will not sign the MCC agreement, claiming that it is not beneficial for the country. However, addressing a media briefing held at the Financial Ministry yesterday, State Minister Semasinghe added that the committee appointed to study the MCC agreement will look into the clauses agreed by the previous government on the agreement.
It is not with regards to MCC only we opposed. There were several agreements what we opposed. On the MCC, yes, we opposed. We opposed the SOFA and the AXA agreement which was signed during that time. We opposed the Singapore Free Trade Agreement which was signed during that time. So what we always said was that a reasonable hearing has to be given from the government side. But the government did not give a reasonable hearing at that time. So the proposed MCC will not be signed by the present government, and that we can assure you that. This particular MCC was to be signed 14 days before the defeat of the previous government. The things what they have agreed, we are going to revisit and see what are the points they have agreed. I don't see anything wrong in revisiting what they have agreed, but I will assure you that particular proposed MCC will not be signed.
Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Human rights lawyer Kalyananda Thiranagama yesterday criticized the private member bills by parliamentarian Dr. Wijayadasa Rajapaksa to amend the country's constitution for the 21st and 22nd occasions. Senior attorney at law Thiranagama is in the view that a new constitution should be introduced instead of amending the constitution again and again.
We wish to discuss about this MP Wijayadasa Rajapaksa's resolution to draft constitutional amendment. At this moment, I don't think it will not serve any purpose moving any amendments to the constitution piecemeal. We need a new constitution which address all the weaknesses in the existing constitution. Not only obstructions imposed on the constitutional function of the government by the 19th Amendment.
Development Banks and Loan Scheme State Minister Shehan Semasinghe stresses that the previous government never had an investor-friendly atmosphere. State Minister brought these criticisms on the previous government, bringing out the fact that the establishment of 30-storied commercial tower mixed project was delayed due to the sluggish attitude of the previous government towards FDI.
Yeah, the initial discussions were taken place in 2014, but the government changed in 2015. So thereafter, I think it was the responsibility of the previous government to take forward the investors' proposals. But what we saw there was never a investor-friendly atmosphere in that government. So we feel that there was no initiative done for the investors to come into Sri Lanka and have their investment. So that was one.
Did you change the conditions with the government?
The main change what we see here is the initial investment was $200 million. So that has been taken up to $250 million US.
Speaking further, State Minister Shehan Semasinghe said that the growth of the country seriously went down under the previous government since it did not have a long-standing economic policy. Dwelling upon the subject, he said the previous government has presented 5 budgets and has changed economic policies 10 times.
We'll have to support the local community to contribute back to the economy, because a growth of 7% falling down below 2%, that itself shows whether the economic policy carried out by the previous government was in line with the thinking of Sri Lanka. And we never saw a proper direction in the economy. Every 3 months we saw the economic policy being changed. There have been almost 10 economic policies along with 5 budgets in the previous government. So altogether, within the 4.5 years, 15 times they changed economic policy. So we want to have a stable economy, and in that we will stand by the decisions what we take, and more faith on investors being invited to come into Sri Lanka.
Now, a detailed analysis of a review on the stock performances for the past week and a stock forecast for the coming week will be brought to you by a subject expert at First Capital Holdings.
The market showed mixed reactions this week with continuous ups and downs. Heavy activity was predominantly driven in the LOLC group based on Bloomberg and foreign country announcements. High buying interest was noted in the selected LOLC group counters, namely LOLC, Browns Investments, Browns and Company, LOFC, that is LOLC Finance, other main companies that were there. Retail activity was significantly improved with the above counters, and however the rest of the market was broadly silent with weak investor interest. Foreign investor participation was also weak during the week, while foreign outflow continued throughout the trading days. We expect market activity to slowly pick up with the release of company earnings in the following weeks. We expect the market to be on a positive momentum on expectation of stronger earnings or results from the companies, as we are registering a recovery in demand and economic growth. However, foreigners are of course likely to show selling pressure in the coming weeks as well. We expect the selling pressure to actually slow down with the positive results that are likely to come out in the company earnings.
Stay tuned for the stock updates after this short break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a mixed note today. The all-share price index gained 2.75 points to close at 6,111.28, and the S&P SL20 dropped 0.59 points to close at 2,928.5. The turnover was 596 million rupees and over 38 million shares were traded. Up next, the forex rates. That's all the news today. Join us tomorrow with Biz Roundup. Until then, take care. Good night.